Welcome to the Columbus Percussion Repair Shop. Today we are going to go over some common repair issues that we help customers with the goal of conveying some tips on repairs that you might be able to handle on your own, and also give some tips on some things that you can do to prevent repair issues from happening to the drums, hardware, and cymbals that we love so much. We will also go over some examples of repair or custom jobs that are more difficult or more technical that are probably best handled by our repair shop or your local drum technician. Drum repairs, hardware repairs, missing parts, vintage drum restoration, Jimbei head replacement. The struggle is real for all drummers and we know it, but we can help. Welcome to our repair shop. At Columbus Percussion, we have 40 years of experience with drum repair and drum maintenance, and our custom repair shop is where it all happens. This is where we keep stock of all the parts that commonly go missing or end up needing replaced. We have drawers and cabinets full of some of the most common parts that we see needing replaced: tension rods, lug casings, washers, swivel nuts, hoops, hi-hat pull rods, pedal springs, bass drum spurs, rubber feet for stands and thrones, wing nuts, the list goes on and on. We also stock a lot of parts that are salvaged off drums and hardware. Drums and stands that come in that are beyond full repair or aren't worth repairing still have pieces that could be very useful, especially in regards to vintage or older drums that don't have replacement parts available today. We also have equipment and tools that are specialized for repairing and making custom drums. Some tools are fairly specialized: router table for cutting bearing edges, a press for rewrapping drums. We have our own custom cymbal cleaning and buffing tub. Our longtime technician Chris White even built this custom tool used to restring and rope-tune Jimbei drums. Some of the tools we have are common enough that many drummers already have them at home for easy repairs that you can do at home. Drum keys, for instance. We need drum keys for many repairs, but there is a handy tool that you can buy that takes a lot of the work out of turning a regular drum key hundreds and hundreds of times by hand. A drum key drill bit attachment. This is definitely handy to have around, even just for changing out drum heads, which we do a lot. But for many drum repair issues, we need access to the inside of the drum shell. Which brings us to the first drum repair issue that you might be able to do yourself: replacing lug casings or snare strainers. With the drum head off of the drum, we have access to the screws that hold all of the lug casings and the snare strainer to the shell. If you have a casing that is broken or has some other issue that needs investigating, more on that in a bit, the first step is taking it off the shell by unscrewing it. Now we can pop the new casing or snare strainer on, or we can investigate the casing for other issues. One of the most common problems we see with lug casings involves the swivel nut. The swivel nut is a part of the casing that the tension rod screws into. Swivel nuts are replaceable, so if you've got a tension rod on your drum that doesn't want to turn or is giving you some kind of trouble, you may not need to replace the entire casing. You may get it back up and running simply by just replacing the swivel nut. Not all swivel nuts are the same. We have a whole drawer of replacement swivel nuts that we salvage from other drums, but you can also buy new replacement swivel nuts. Having some replacement swivel nuts on hand just in case is always a good idea. Other common repair or part issues that we see involve hardware stands and cymbals. First, let's talk about cymbals. Cymbals can crack. The good news is that most cymbal manufacturers offer some kind of warranty at no additional cost that covers cymbal cracks due to regular playing for a period of time after you buy the cymbal. Usually the warranty covers about 2 years after the purchase. If you find yourself with a crack in your cymbal and the cymbal is no longer under the manufacturer's warranty, don't worry, not all is lost. Cracks along the outer edge of a cymbal can be cut out to prevent the crack from spreading further. Cutting out cracks in cymbals is not a permanent fix, as cracks can show back up anywhere around the damaged part, but it definitely can buy you some extra time before the cymbal is no longer usable. And it's a pretty inexpensive fix if you have it done by us or your local drum shop. Speaking of, cutting out cymbal cracks is best handled by a repair technician rather than your favorite pair of tin snips or hacksaw. cracks that show up in the middle of a cymbal instead of on the edge of a cymbal are a little bit of a different issue. These cracks need to be drilled out and cut. Repairs on cracks in the middle of a cymbal are less effective than cutting out a crack along the edge of a cymbal, meaning there's more of a chance that the crack will come back sooner if it's repaired in the middle of the cymbal. Another issue is cymbal keyholing. This is when the hole in the middle of the cymbal gets out of round over time, usually caused by the stand that the cymbal is on. The resulting shape can look like, you guessed it, a keyhole. Keyholing is not really repairable. The best a repair technician can do is install a grommet on the cymbal hole, but this does not prevent the hole from causing cracks around the bell, and cracks around the bell of a cymbal are not repairable. The good news is that there is an easy way to prevent a cymbal from keyholing that's related to your hardware. Always use cymbal sleeves. Cymbal sleeves are a simple plastic barrier that prevents metal-to-metal contact between the cymbal and the stand that it's on. It's this metal-to-metal contact that over time can lead to keyholing. If you got a good cymbal sleeve on the stand, you don't have anything to worry about. So be sure to always use cymbal sleeves or carry some extra around with you if you're often using stands or hardware that aren't yours. You also want to check on the condition of your cymbal sleeves occasionally. They can wear down and break over time, and you will need to replace them. Other repair issues that we see with hardware are usually related to wear and tear over time or missing parts. Stands that lost wing nuts, pedal hinges that need to be replaced, broken pedal springs, stands and thrones with missing or broken rubber feet, bent hi-hat pull rods are all examples of repair issues that we usually have parts on hand and can take care of for you. So those are some of the more simple repair issues that we see. Here are some examples of some more intensive, complex repair issues that come into the shop that are best handled by our repair technician. Goatskin Jimbei head replacement. Replacing goatskin heads on Jimbeis or other drums that don't have a precise diameter is a fairly complex and tedious task that takes a lot of time and work to do. This task is best handled by a technician who has experience replacing goatskin heads and who probably also already has materials on hand like goatskin and rope to get the job done as fast as possible, so you can get back to playing sooner. Another complex job is drum rewrapping. If you are wanting to change the look of your drum with a new wrap, or the finish on your drum is damaged and you want to cover it, drum rewrapping is another fairly complex job that is best handled by a technician with experience, materials, and the necessary tools. The drum technician will likely have a selection of wraps on hand or has examples of the different wraps that you can choose from. Rewrapping is something else that can take a good bit of time, but we have tools on hand that help us get the job as efficiently and precisely as possible. Like the press that I mentioned before, one tip for getting your rewrap done as quickly as possible is to remove all of the hardware from the shell before bringing it into the repair shop. All you need is a screwdriver and a bag to keep everything in. That way the technician can get straight to the rewrap. Bearing edges and snare bed repairs. Sometimes a drum can take a spill and land in just such a way that the bearing edge that the drum head sits on gets damaged. This can cause a number of issues, including tuning issues, drum tone or snare response issues, and issues with drum heads breaking more easily. We highly suggest that you not try to do anything to repair a bearing edge issue yourself. A bearing edge needs to be very precise in order to allow the drum head to resonate evenly and produce good sound. Changing the cut of a snare bed even just a little bit can drastically change the sound of your drum. And there's no going back to the way it was easily, if at all. Sometimes there are very small bearing edge issues that can be fixed with sandpaper. Other times the entire shell needs to be cut down in order to start the bearing edge over from scratch. Our repair shop has a heavy-duty router table for these jobs, and our technician has experience cutting and repairing many different bearing edges. Something else you may want to have a repair technician handle is vintage drum restoration. If you have a vintage drum or drum set that has seen better days, is in disrepair, or just needs some parts replaced, we have a ton of experience restoring vintage drums of all kinds. Everything from old Leedy field drums, to vintage Gretsch round badge kits, to vintage Camco kits. We've seen a lot of vintage drums come through our repair shop. As mentioned before, we salvage all kinds of vintage drum parts that may come in handy for restorations. Whether you have a vintage kit that you just want to get in playing condition, or a rare piece needing some original parts replaced, we are always excited to dig into a good restoration project. Another place you may not think of where drums and percussion instruments need repair work and attention are schools. The drum, percussion, and mallet instruments in a school's band program take a lot of abuse over years and years of use by students, and sometimes an issue can pop up that you may not know how to remedy. We help schools all the time with a lot of different problems. a marimba wheel needs replaced or frame repaired, repairing a concert bass drum stand that's falling apart, restringing concert chimes, marching drums and carriers that need repairs, all kinds of different timpani issues, tuning pedal repair, bowl repair. We can even help with the smaller percussion instruments as well, such as replacing a tambourine head or restringing wind chimes. All of these are repairs that can save band programs money by bringing new life to their instruments and getting extra years of use out of them rather than replacing them altogether. If your school program is located here in Ohio, we may even be able to come out to your building and do some repairs on site, so you don't have to move the big school instruments. Call or email us to see if we can help. Going back to rewrapping drums, we can also rewrap entire drum lines. Whether you have drums that are functionally fine but the finish has taken some damage over the years, or you just want to change the look of your drum line, rewrapping a drum line is a great way to get a new high quality and durable look for your program without spending near the amount of money a new drum line costs. For example, sometimes there's a very practical reason to rewrap a drum line. Say your program just bought new uniforms and now your old drum line doesn't match the new uniforms, and you don't have enough money to buy new drums because of the cost of the uniforms. We can find a high quality and durable wrap to match your new uniforms and bring new life to your drum line. A drum line with a sharp new wrap can almost look like a new drum line. The bonus is your program saves money by not buying new uniforms and drums in the same year. One fairly easy school percussion instrument maintenance job worth mentioning that does not require a technician to do but can help breathe new life into instruments that get used day in and day out is restringing the bars on mallet instruments. Marimbas, xylophones, and vibraphones all have bars on a big loop of string that sits in a cradle on the instrument frame. This string, or barcord, suspends the bars and allows them to sustain vibration. The string that the bars are on can stretch out over time or break, which has an effect on the sound. Replacing the string every year or so, depending on how much activity the instrument is getting, is a great way to maintain the instrument and always get a great sound. We always have this barcord in stock, and you can find a link for it in the description. We can also make and finish custom drums from scratch in our repair shop. Say you have an idea for a snare drum. We can source the drum shell that you want, cut it down to the depth that you want, cut the style of bearing edge that you want, take care of installing and assembling all of the hardware, and finish on the drum. The snare drum played for the background of this video is a snare drum that we custom made right here. So there it is, a quick tour of our custom drum repair shop and some insight on all of the things that we can do in here, and some tips to help your gear sound better and last longer. This is Columbus Percussion, one of the largest independent drum and percussion specialty stores. If you have any questions on drum repair or need help with some gear, call or email us at mail@columbuspercussion.com. We are all drummers here and happy to help in any way that we can. If you like this video, be sure to hit like and subscribe so you find out every time something cool comes into our drum store.